Welcome to Quantum Revenue Expansion, where we keep you motivated, inspired, and thinking big. Up-leveling into quantum revenue is a choice that we can all make in any moment, and then continue to make that choice to stay in that space each day. On this podcast, Ursula will share revenue growth strategies to reach your next level and introduce you to CEOs just like you who are making it happen. What's your next quantum leap going to be? See it, own it, and take that first step. If this is you, then Ursula wants to invite you to join us at the next 2X Intensive now. Go to salescoachnow.com/apply. You are listening to Quantum Revenue Expansion with your host, Ursula Menchez. Let's go.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Quantum Revenue Expansion, the podcast where we help turn your annual income into your monthly income, because doesn't that sound amazing and fun? And today, this is part 2 of my solo show, How to Sell with Confidence. And if you haven't listened to part 1 yet, you don't want to miss part 1, because part 2 is not going to give you as much back, right? It's not going to give you as much because you missed the first part. So definitely go back and listen to part 1 first and then dive into this content. Also, if you haven't yet, definitely go and download our free gift for you. Go to ursulainc.co, and on the homepage, you'll see our free gift, which pairs very well with the podcast. And it's Quantum Revenue Expansion, the masterclass, where I do 3 things, right? I show you how to create your brand new quantum revenue container to turn your annual income into your monthly income, how to up-level your pricing, packages, and marketing, and also how to collapse time and reach your quantum revenue goals even faster. In other words, how to get to that next level, how to take a quantum leap. So definitely go grab your free gift and dive into that training. And after you do that, if you haven't hung out with us at the 2X Intensive yet, come and play. Go to ursulainc.co/apply. Send us a little bit of information about your business, and someone on my team will get back to you and get you all the information. Just for being a listener of Quantum Revenue, the Quantum Revenue Expansion, the podcast, you get a very special package. So definitely take the time, fill it out. We would love to help you 2X your revenue and shave 10 or more hours off your work week. All right, so without further ado, let's dive in. So how to sell with confidence. I really wanted to do this show because I think it's kind of the core of everything that I teach. And it's fun to go back to my roots of sales and sales camp. But again, it's a fundamental piece of business. And if you're struggling with selling, or if you're finding, I don't know, like the world just feels kind of interesting. So, and there's a lot of negativity floating around. It can pull us off our game, right? So how to sell with confidence might just be the thing you need to listen to right now to also bring your confidence back. In the first show, we talked about the first 3 tips on how to sell with confidence. 1, how important it is to believe in your product or service. 2, how important it is to be prepared and how to show up really prepared and why that matters. And 3, how to arrive to solve their problem or meet their need. What it means to arrive either on a Zoom call or in person to really support the prospective client who's in front of you and what that can look like. So today we're going to dive into the next 4 tips to truly help you sell with confidence. And if you haven't yet, definitely grab your pen, your paper, take some notes. And as I said in the first show, like some of these things you will have heard before, and that's fine, right? But maybe you'll hear them in a different light. Or perhaps you'll hear them in a way that it shifts something for you, right? Or maybe it's been a while since you've heard these and it's a great refresher. And there's something else that's going to come through for you today. I don't believe in coincidence. Like, I don't believe you landed on the show just because, right? It just happened to come along. You're drawn to this title, right? How to Sell with Confidence. So I'm really designing this episode to help you bridge the gap from where you are to where you want to go, and to begin to be in that total confidence again. So tip number 4, you ready? All right. Tip number 4 is to remember that selling is not telling. I think I first heard Brian Tracy say something like this. He's been quoted as saying something like this. Brian Tracy, an amazing sales expert, one of my mentors, one of my favorite people in our industry and in this space. And hearing him say that, and hearing others say that since then, has allowed me to expand what this means for me. Because selling is not telling. Selling is truly asking questions. Selling is about being curious. Okay? Really coming from that place of curiosity. And we can all do that, right? If you ever, and I want you to remember this, if you ever feel stuck in the sales process, get curious. Ask another question. When I say ask a question, though, I mean ask an open-ended question. Open-ended question simply means, as you know, or maybe you need to remember, an open-ended question means you can't say yes or no. So it's open-ended. It's designed to get me talking, get me sharing, right? A lot of people don't know, you might know, I mentioned this the first call that my bachelor's is in psychology and communication. My master's degree is in marriage and family counseling. So I've been trained to ask a lot of questions to help people open up. And I actually did the training after the first part of my sales and executive career. And then I, made a career change in the coaching world. At the time, they didn't have a coaching master's degree. So I decided to do, the master's in counseling psychology, which served me really, really well. And I thought it was so interesting, though. So as I'm sitting in my master's classes, I'm realizing, oh my gosh, these are all open-ended questions. Like selling and counseling have a lot in common, is my point. And in both fields, it's important to ask open-ended questions so you can assess where someone is, right? In counseling, I was assessing if someone is sad or depressed or struggling with something, or like really trying to find the core of what was going on. So I came from a place of curiosity. In sales, it's the same thing, right? When you come from a place of curiosity and you ask open-ended questions, not only will people be surprised that you're not just throwing up on them all the things that you know about your product or service, they're going to feel more connected to you. It's not why you do it, but you kind of have to do it if you're going to be great at sales, right? Because when you ask open-ended questions and you come from that place of curiosity and you come from that place of, can I solve your problem or meet your need? Your prospect's going to feel that. And they're going to feel a lot more connected to you, and they're going to feel more confident. Remember, we talked about this in the first show. They're going to feel more confident that you could solve their problem or meet their need. And all you have to do is be really good at asking questions and move out of feeling like you have to do all the talking, all the, like filling the open space. I find a lot of salespeople feel like they just have to fill the quiet space, fill the silence, and that could not be further from the truth. You don't want to be talking the whole time. In fact, if you're talking the whole time during the sales conversation, it's really likely that that person will not buy from you because you're not listening. And so when our clients used to come to sales camp, by the way, if anyone wants sales camp, digital sales camp is on our website. This isn't a sales camp or a sales pitch for it at all. But if you want it, it is on our website. We do offer the digital version of it now. And or when you come to the 2X Intensive, you get digital sales camp with it. But inside of sales camp, right, we cover the most powerful ways to ask questions. I'm going to share those with you now. You start with the pain-related questions. And you're going, pain? What do you mean? Well, you want to know what's keeping this person up at night, right? Or what their biggest struggles are, or what's stressing them out, or what's not working. And it could be with their business. It could be with their health. It could be with their marriage. It depends what you're selling. It could be with their pet. Like, what's the problem? What's the change that they desire? And so in business, I would ask the client, like, what are your top 3 biggest sales challenges right now? What are your top barriers to growth? What are, where are the top, you can tell, I like to ask, what are the top 2 or 3, right? Because I want to get as much information as I can to figure out if I can help you or not. what are the top 2 or 3 ways you wish you could change your business right now? In the world of health, like what are your top 2 biggest concerns about your health? In the financial space, what are the top 3 things keeping you up at night, right? Like I want to know where you're struggling right now. And if you've never asked open-ended questions like this in the sales process, it's okay. It's okay. It's going to feel a little uncomfortable at first, but I guarantee that once you get into it, it's going to feel really conversational, because here's the thing. We as humans love to talk about ourselves. We love it. So when someone asks me, which doesn't happen a lot, I feel like in this world of a lot of telling, when a salesperson asks me a couple good open-ended questions, I'm like, here's my credit card. I'm probably going to buy what you have, right? Because it's a lost art. So it might feel uncomfortable. It might feel like, ooh, this is, I'm not usually asking these questions like this. But I invite you to try it, because when you do, you'll be surprised. I guarantee you'll be surprised how much people are willing to share with you. And in this day and age of the pandemic and coming out of the pandemic and people just feeling so isolated, you will notice that people are so just eager to talk to somebody, which sounds super sad, but it's true. They're eager to share, and you get to be that sounding board. And it's not, again, let's be clear, it's not from a place of manipulation at all. It's coming from a place of really serving the person who's in front of you. So tip number 1, again, remember, selling is not telling. Selling is asking questions, which dovetails nicely into tip number 5. Connect with intention. The old adage, people buy from people they like, know, and trust, still rings true today, right? If someone doesn't feel like they can trust you, they're not going to buy from you. If they don't feel like they know you in any way, they're not going to buy from you. If they don't like you, they're not going to buy from you. One of the things our master coach at Ursula Inc. says, Rebecca Hall often says, be relatable. You'll hear that all the time. Be relatable. What does that mean? Well, it means like be relatable to the person in front of you. Can they relate to you? Are you being authentic, right? Be relatable. The truth is, we are like our ideal clients. We are very similar in terms of our values and how we show up in the world. And that's how you know it's an ideal client, right? There's an alignment in value. And the reason I know that is because you don't do business with people whose values are totally out of alignment with yours, whether it's a corporation or an individual. You just won't. Or if you do, you'll regret it. And you'll tell yourself, I'm never going to do that again. So when you connect with intention, it's really a heart-centered space. And that's not feminine energy. It's just coming from that place of really caring about whether or not you can help that person. And if you can't help them, who can help them? Like, who can you refer them to? Because if you're talking to them about something similar, if it's not quite what you do, I'm guessing someone else who might be able to. Who can you refer them to? We refer a lot of people to other coaches. We refer to SCORE. We refer to the SBA, the SBDC, the Inland Empire Women's Business Center in California. We refer a lot of people depending on where they are in the business journey. I love referring. If you're not ready for what we have yet, that's okay. I want to help you, right? That's what I'm talking about. That's connecting with intention. And again, really connecting in a way so people can make the decision. They feel like they like, know, trust you. They can decide, right, what they, how they want to be, what they want to do next, or how they want this conversation to go. And the more people open up, the more likely it is that you can figure out if you can solve their problem or meet their need. So we started with pain-related questions, right? So I want to know, like, what's not working in your world. Then I'm going to ask goal-related questions, right? So it's kind of like, and these are open-ended, if you didn't have the pain, if you didn't have the challenges, what do you want, right? Michael Loge wrote a book called Law of Attraction. I've interviewed him on this podcast, and he talks about, us as entrepreneurs or just people in general. It's hard for us to know what we want, right? A lot of times we're like, I don't know, like I don't want to feel sad anymore, right? It might be what I want, but that's what I don't want. Okay. What I do want is to feel joy, to feel free, to feel light, right? So my point is, start with pain related, because when people get clear on what they don't want, it's easier for them to get clear on what they do want, right? It's kind of the opposite. So if you start with the pain related, you can ask the open-ended questions and start to get clear. Okay, they're really struggling with not enough sales in their business. They don't have any support in their business, maybe not any support in their personal life. What they really want is to 2x their sales and work 20 hours a week instead of 80. Okay. So I'm looking for, again, what they don't want so I can help them see what they do want. Selling is a lot like coaching, right? You're asking these open-ended questions. You're helping people get clear on what they don't want so they can get clear on what they do want. And within that conversation, while you're connecting with intention, you get to see, can I help this person? Does my product or service solve a problem or meet a need? Because if it does, then it is your duty. I believe you are doing a disservice if you don't offer them your product or service, if you don't get to the close part of your sales conversation, which a lot of people don't. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about next. Tip number 6. So once you've asked the questions and you're really clear on what they don't want and what they do want, and you've really connected with intention, you just feel connected in the conversation, you can start to close with confidence. And what I mean by that is you've done the heavy lifting. You've done your job as a salesperson. You believe in your product or service. You're prepared. You show up prepared. You arrive to solve their problem or meet their need. You've asked the open-ended questions to figure out what their pain is and what they really want. And you've connected with intention. You've connected from that heart-centered space. Then it's time to offer them options. This is where you start to move into the close portion of the sales process. So tip number 6, to close with confidence, right? You want to repeat back to them. So what I heard you say, Shelly, is that you're feeling very stressed out because your sales aren't where you want them to be, and you'd like to 2x your monthly revenue and go from working 80 hours a week to 20 hours a week. Is that right? So I repeat back to Shelly what I've heard her share with me. And this step, you can't miss this step, right? Because number one, you want people to feel heard. What I heard you say is, right? You want people to feel heard because that's about connecting. But also you want to be clear that you heard what they said, because maybe you got something wrong, excuse me, and that would change what you offered them. And so when you repeat it back to them, if they agree, they're like, yes, that's exactly what I said. That's exactly how I'm feeling right now. You've got it. You've nailed it. You can move into what you're going to offer them, your potential solution. If they're not quite there, right? You can clarify. So you can ask, you can get curious, right? And then clarify what it is, where they're feeling really stuck or what they really desire. So that gives you an opportunity to clarify. From there, you get to offer options. I'm a big believer in giving people a few options, unless you only have one product or service that you offer. But I find that most people have, quite a few. As the salesperson, you are the expert, right? If you've heard your prospect sharing for the last hour, you want to start to discern and narrow down what the next step would be, right? Now, if you have a more complicated sales process, like maybe you sell training or coaching to corporations, and you need to go back and create a proposal for them, that is fine. What you want to make sure you do, though, and this is critical, you want to make sure you put the next appointment on the calendar before you wrap up, okay? Because otherwise it's like chasing tumbleweeds through the desert, and you'll just be chasing the sale. So if they can't, the next step is the proposal. You just simply say, all right, well, this is what I've heard you say. This is what you're interested in. I'm excited to put a proposal together for you. Let's get another time on the calendar. So look at your calendars together, book the time, and then of course send them the reminder invite for the calendar so that you can get it on their calendar. Now, excuse me, if you can offer a solution, product, service while you're still on the phone, I do recommend doing that, right? Or when you're still there, if you can. And you can simply say, this is what I heard you say, you know, about what they don't want and what they do want. And then you say simply, based on what you've shared with me today, I could recommend two options for you. Option number one, and side note, you always want to start with the most expensive option because it's hard for our brain to go the other way. We don't have time to get into all of the brain psychology. Just know that start with the most expensive one. So it's easier for our brain to understand, and then it's easier to see what's in the smaller package or the smaller product or whatever is different, right? So explain option A and option B. If you have option C, that's fine. A lot of people believe in selling 3 different options. People, for whatever reason, statistically buy the one in the middle. I wouldn't offer more than 3 options. More than 3 options gets confusing for people, and a confused person will never buy. They'll get stuck. So 3 clear options. And then you simply say, Shelly, based on what I've shared with you, which option is going to work best? Or which program or which package or which product or whichever, right? What's going to work best for you? And then be quiet. Don't say anything, which is really hard for a lot of us chatty people, us sales professionals. We want to keep talking. We just want to stop talking, right? Let them answer. And sometimes it takes them a minute. Sometimes they're processing. When people sell to me, it takes me a second. Like, if my face can look all like, I'm just thinking. For those of you who are watching the video, I was making a funny face because that's what I look like when I'm thinking, right? I'm processing. So don't say anything, because one of 2 things will happen. Either they will choose a package or a program or, you know, product based on your suggestions, or they will give you more information. And when I say give you more information, usually that is in the form of an objection. Objections scare people. Do not be scared of an objection, okay? An objection is a buying sign. They are objecting because they want to change something, or it's got to be a little different. It is not a no. An objection is not a no, okay? So go through that process and then offer them the options, and then just simply ask, which one's going to work best for you? See what they say. Tip number 7, last tip. I want you to remember this. Always remember this. The deal is never done. The deal is never done. Even if you get a no, you can still be curious. Always go back. I said this at the beginning. Always go back and ask open-ended questions. Just get curious, right? So if someone says, this is an objection that can come up a lot, this sounds great. I'm really interested. And maybe I am, right? I'm really interested. Can you get back to me in 90 days? Here, right? We've all heard that one. Or get back to me in 60 days. Here's what a lot of salespeople will say if we're not trained, right? We'll just say, okay, I'll give you a call in 90 days. Thanks for your time. Bye, right? Because it's too uncomfortable to ask any more questions. I want you to stop in that moment and ask a question. I would ask a question like, well, what's going to be different in 90 days from now? What would happen if you started now and 90 days from now, you were in a different position, right? Get curious. For every objection that comes up, ask a question. So let's say someone's like, whoa, that's way more than I thought it was going to be. Okay, well, how much did you think it was going to be? I would just ask. They'll tell you. And then you could offer other solutions. Well, if you do, if you pay in full, you'll get an X amount of discount, or we could offer a 3 to 4 part payment plan. Some people offer longer payment plans. Like, this is your opportunity to get curious and offer them a solution. Another objection, I need to talk to my business partner or my spouse. Now, this is a sign that we should have asked that in the beginning, right? Who else needs to be here to make the decision, or who will be making this decision with you, if anyone? But sometimes that gets missed, and that's okay. I would reset that meeting. I would get another meeting on the books with the business partner or the spouse. Now, sometimes it's just kind of like they're just throwing it out there, and they really don't need to. You just got to kind of coach them through it, or you could ask, well, when are you going to talk to your business partner or spouse? I'm going to talk to them tomorrow morning. Okay, great. Well, let's put an appointment on calendar for tomorrow afternoon so we can talk right after that meeting. What do you need from me before you talk to your business partner or spouse? Just helping them through that process can be so helpful. And sometimes clients will say, you know what? Now I thought about it, I don't need to. And they take the next step. But if we don't get curious, we will never know. And we won't give that person who's in front of us the opportunity to change their business or change their life, because I think that's what we all do, right? Our products or services make a difference. And so the deal's not done, like it's not over. The first no. In fact, statistically, they say all of the big deals, all of the big deals in the world are closed after the third no. The third no. When's the last time you asked that many times, right? We don't. So I encourage you to keep asking, not to be annoying, right? But like if someone's still in this conversation with you and they don't seem super bored and they haven't completely checked out, they're probably still interested in what you have. They're trying to figure out how to make it work for them. So our job is to help them through that process so that they can purchase what you are offering them. Okay. Whew, we covered a lot of ground. How to sell with confidence, 2 parts. Again, in review, we talked about the importance of believing in your product or service. We talked about how important it is to be prepared, how to arrive to solve the problem or need, to always remember that selling is not telling, selling is asking questions, how to connect with intention, how to close with confidence, and to remember that the deal is never done, right? Like the deal's not done. Stay in the game. Stay there to serve, because what you need makes a difference in the world. And remember, you are doing a disservice if you don't stay in that conversation to really help the person that's in front of you. And that goes for people that you need to follow up with too, right? Some of you have a pile of business cards or you have people you're supposed to follow up with and you're waiting for them to call. They're not going to call you. It's up to us to follow up with them, right? Follow up, close the sale, reset that meeting. Like a lot of times we have to go back and put another meeting on the calendar with them because they haven't said no, right? So I want to encourage you, go back, reset some of those appointments, and then follow the tips that I gave you during these last 2 episodes to go and close more sales. All right, everybody, that's it for this week. I wish you many confident sales, and may this be your best month yet. All right, we'll see you soon. Bye for now.
Thank you for joining us today. And if you are ready to make your next quantum leap, let's do it. Ursula invites you to join us at the 2X Intensive. Go to salescoachnow.com/apply. Don't forget to leave us a review on your favorite podcast app.